So good morning to everyone out there in internet land, although it's morning where my guest is, I think. It's afternoon where I am. And honestly, I always complain about the weather here in Binghamton. So I can just tell you that we had a severe thunderstorm last night, which kept the dog up. And so I have not had any sleep, but that's all right because, I can get through the day. I know what I need to do, and I have some really fantastic things going on today that I can't complain about. One of them is having my guest, Melanie, on the show today. Melanie, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you because, folks, when you think about writing a book, when you think about what is that book for and what is the purpose, one of the things is building authority. So we're going to talk about that today. This is Yvonne DeVita. You're watching Smart Conversations. And let me tell you more about my guest before we talk about authority. So Melanie Herschorn wants to make your book and brand sparkle online. Now, everyone, that got me right away, the whole sparkle online thing. I'm all about, sparkling and things like that. As content marketing strategist for coaches, consultants, and speakers worldwide, she's on a mission to support and empower her clients to create clear messaging and content that shines a light on their individuality, skill set, and books. With her unique combination of entrepreneurship, award-winning journalism, and PR experience, Melanie guides her clients to attract and nurture leads and to position themselves as industry experts. She also loves to provide book marketing tips and interview authors on her show, Authority Marketing Live. And Melanie, before we go much farther, you sent me your marketing tips checklist. Genius. We need to talk about that sometime in the show today because, folks, she put together this checklist that it just has everything you really need to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for saying that. And everybody listening can get a copy too.
Yeah, we'll talk about how they can do that because they should have a copy of it. But in the meantime, give us your backstory before we go too much farther.
Sure. So it's not linear at all. When I graduated from college, I was like, I don't know what to do. So I'm going to move to LA to be with a guy and going to work in PR and see what happens. And so I did that. Then I moved into journalism. I got a master's in journalism. Then I was living in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And yes, which is not too far from Binghamton, actually.
No, it's not.
And the weather is not that much different either. Don't miss those thunderstorms. And then from there, I moved to Phoenix and I launched a breastfeeding clothing company.
Wow.
And it was a lot of fun for a while. And then I hired somebody to help me with my marketing because I thought, well, I've been doing it this long, but I could find somebody who really knows what they're talking about and they can help me with my online presence. And it was a disaster. She was emotionally and verbally abusive. She made me feel like I was about an inch tall.
Oh, my word.
She would tell me that I was boring. Why am I so boring? Why? And I was thinking, but I have a master's in journalism. I mean, so I started to really doubt myself and my abilities. Within the year, I'd spent about 25 grand and I had some Instagram followers that were never going to buy my clothing. I was so just depleted that I was like, that's it. I'm shutting this company down. And so I did. And then it was like, okay, well, what do I do now? And I kind of looked back at my varied career and I was like, marketing. I can help people with their marketing and I can support them and advocate for them and never let anybody feel as bad as I feel right now.
That's it, right? Isn't that it right there? And that's how I got into the publishing business way back in 2005.
That's right. That's
My
right.
book was so poorly done. So what happened then?
So then I sort of hung a shingle and said, okay, I do marketing now. And it took me a while to really narrow it down, because, I could say hey, if you're an entrepreneur, I can help you, but that's silly. So authors started to come to me, and I said, okay, universe, I see you. I hear what you're doing. And I thought, all right, well, this makes perfect sense, because I love working with people who are on a mission. And when you write a book, you are not just sort of a flash in the pan person with a mission. You really have something that you've poured your heart and soul into to try to make this world a better place. And then I get to come in and help authors create their online presence and really refine their messaging so that it's attracting their ideal reader. And so I get to do this every day, and it is not a job. It is fun. It's not a job.
Yeah. Well, see, that's it, and that's what we hope. We hope that whatever we do in life. But back to getting authors to work with you and whatnot. I mean, so many authors don't realize until after the book's published that, oh yeah, hey, nobody's going to know about this book. How do I tell them about it? So tell me some of your experiences with authors who, I mean, I'm so excited that you're giving them that kind of support they need and helping them recognize that they've created something of value, and not instead of saying, well, why weren't you smart enough to do this? You should have known. That isn't the way it's done. But some of your experiences, because I work with authors also, and a big part of what I tell them is, they come to me and we'll be working on chapter 12 or something, and they'll be like, I didn't know it was going to be so hard to write this book. And I'm like, oh, this is the easy part. Yeah.
Ooh, that is the easy part. But so I guess the question that you're asking really is, what is an author going to experience?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you sparkle them out there?
Yes. Okay. So you come to me and you have a book and you say, what do I do now? And I'm going to answer that with, well, let's refine your messaging. Let's make what you're saying to the people online and everywhere you go universally the same. Everywhere you go, you're going to say the same thing. You're going to sound like a broken record, but it's going to work.
Yeah.
And then let's create your online presence, because what happens is when you are anywhere, people check you out online before they make before they go in your calendar system and book a spot to talk with you. They're going to check you out. It's just what we do. It's like going on a date and not Googling the person first. You don't do that anymore. Not that I've dated in 16 years, but that's just not what you do, right? So when an author comes to me, they usually have the manuscript finished. Not as it shouldn't be published yet, because then that's
a key point. That's a key point right there, because that's a key point I tell authors is you got to start talking to somebody like, 3 months before it's even going to be printed, right?
Absolutely, because that gives you that time to build up momentum. Rome was not built in a day, friend. It was not. And I'm currently working with an author. Her book published the week after she and I started working together. So I'm kind of working backwards a little bit. I had to learn everything about her brand and her book in the span of 7 days. And I did it, but it makes it more difficult because we want to build up that momentum and get people excited and show them about you and show the process. That gets people interested in what you're doing too. If you just start showing pictures of yourself with your book cover, that gets old really, really fast.
I mean, authors need to understand that I tell them you're not so much selling the book as you're selling yourself.
True. Because what is in the book is all your ideas. Your book is a gold mine of content marketing.
Right.
And you just have to extract, cull from it, and create beautiful things online to let people know about how great you are and what you offer.
And do you do you recommend faces? So I tell them you got to get your face out there. You can't just show a lot of pictures of the book. So I recommend book trailers, and I say don't just have a book trailer with content from the book or somebody narrating and the covers your cover. You've got to put your face out there.
That's right, because remember, you are your brand.
Yes. And do you help them with, so because a lot of them, strangely, people out there in internet land, a lot of others are shy. So how do you help them with that? Because they're
I have a perfect example of this. So I had a client who her book is still not launched yet. It's been a very long time. She's waiting for the publisher. But when we got started working together, she said, I don't want to show pictures of myself because I believe that's narcissistic.
Oh boy, oh boy.
And I said, we're going to turn that around.
Right.
Because the truth is, if people don't see you, they can't connect with you. And we as humans need to see humans, that the humanity. You know, I'm working with a company right now. I'll just go on a tangent here. I'm working with a company right now, and every single one of the posts and emails that they put out was missing the human element.
Mm-hmm.
And so that goes back to putting yourself out there and being shy. You're allowed to be shy. You're allowed. It's okay to be shy, but you can still post a picture of yourself. You can still go live and do a video. In fact, there's a lot of safety in doing a video behind a screen. You don't have to be out in the world, but people want to hear from you. They do.
Right. Yes.
They want to hear from you.
And they want to hear your voice. They want to see your face because they want to know that an actual real person and not a computer wrote that book. But also, do you, authors who are shy and don't want to get in front of the camera, I have one right now that I'm like, oh no, we're going to get you over that. But do you work with them? So I'm going to be working with him on some videos and helping point out, you know, what the thing is that my guy is, he's a radio guy. So his voice is fantastic. So he knows how to talk.
Yeah. Well,
he doesn't want his face out there.
I totally, yeah. Well, you know, they say you have a face for radio. So so that client of mine, I got her over it. And now she posts pictures of herself all the time, and she actually enjoys it. And so as a former radio person, I understand the safety of the microphone. I do. I get it, because I would show up in pajamas every day for work and nobody could see if my hair looked like crap. And if I didn't have makeup on, it didn't matter. But it's something that, yes, I work with clients on to understand the importance of showing themselves, because we don't have a brick and mortar store to walk into where somebody can pick up your book and look at it and ask you questions and touch it and feel it. All we have is the online space. And so you have to utilize that. I mean, it can take 7 to 20 touch points before somebody pulls out their credit card.
Right. That's what. So in the end, I tell people it isn't how many books you sell. It's because even novelists, you know, novelists do kind of rely on book sales, but what you're talking about, what I see that you're probably building for them is a fan club, and that's what they need. They need that fan club, right? But even novelists and my nonfiction authors, the message that they're bringing, because even novelists have a message in their book.
That's right. That's right. And you have to keep highlighting that message. You got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And I call consistency in marketing the granny panties of marketing. It's not sexy at all, but you need it. It does the job.
It does the job.
It does the job. And so when you keep showing up and you keep letting people know about your message, that's when the magic happens. That's when the sparkle happens.
And that's when you get hired to do a keynote or to speak somewhere else, right?
That's right. People go, oh, hey, you know what? Yvonne's the expert on book writing and book publishing. I have to hire her, because they see what you're putting out there.
Because event planners, that's what they want. They want someone with a consistent message that's going to resonate with the event that they're planning, but they also want authors, not just because they know authors poured so much energy and investment into the book, but because they expect the authors to speak well.
That's right. And remember, you wrote the book on it. So you're the expert now, and you got to let people know about it.
Yeah, and you've got to make sure that one of the things I learned early on, because I don't like speaking in public. This is my level of speaking, and with you, going out in public. I'm kind of glad I didn't have to during COVID, but what people used to say, and what it took me a long time to learn, was you know more about your topic than anybody else in the audience.
Amen to that. Yes, you do. And you think you don't, but
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah. So you help them get over that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So while I am helping create an online presence with an author, I'm also there as their support system.
Yeah.
Because marketing, people, it's very polarizing. People either love it or they hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And most times when people come to me, they don't like it that much. And we have to sort of work through the benefits of marketing yourself. And yeah, I mean, some people, like for me, I'm very vain, Yvonne, and I could like look at myself on Zoom all day long. But not everybody is like that, some people.
But you're also a good speaker, and I see a little bit of my daughter in you. She actually teaches people how to do TED Talks, and
I love that.
Yeah, and she worked with me in my previous business, which was part of my pet blogging world. But in the end, when you have an author who is looking for results from the book, they often want that best-selling, quote unquote. And I always say to them, well, it isn't what you think it is.
That's right. It's not what you think it is. Yes, you can say I'm an international best-selling author. Congratulations. If you have $6.45, you can also get a grande almond milk latte from Starbucks.
There you go.
Because it doesn't have the cachet that it probably did 10 years ago.
10, 20 years ago. Right.
20 years ago. Well, Amazon wasn't even a thing then, but yes, right. but it's not necessarily going to translate to book sales.
Right.
It's not necessarily going to translate to the credibility that you're hoping for.
Right.
If it's something you want, it's a feather in your cap, wonderful, go for it. I don't say don't do it, but
right.
But you can pay $65,000 and become a Wall Street Journal bestseller if you want.
Exactly. I mean, in the end, I teach people that in the world of best-selling books, you can be considered a bestseller in the traditional publishing world, having sold 500 books. And that's because in a certain category, in a particular day, it sold 500 books. And so now they're calling it a bestseller. And so people are like, what? Or it could be 1,000 books, because people tend to think bestseller means that you sold hundreds of thousands of books.
That's right.
And it's not true.
That's not true. And so it's I almost think it's like kind of the dirty secret.
It is. It kind of is. And so to the Amazon one, everybody wants to be that. And I think you're right that it's becoming less and less the status that was attached to it, is because the general public has caught on. They understand how it happens that you get this Amazon bestseller status. So what I do is I have a list of places that I recommend my authors send their books for awards. Because if you have a star on your book that says you won an award, yeah, way better than bestseller, because that means somebody judged it that wasn't connected to you.
That's right. Because what often happens with the bestseller is you're getting your mom and your aunt and your sister and your cousin and their friends to go online the same day and all buy your book for 99 cents.
Right.
Or for free. So, right. And I love the awards idea. That's brilliant, because that is legitimate credibility. It's like when you get really great people to endorse your book.
Yes.
is another way to really build that credibility piece without saying, hey, I'm a bestseller, because it's not, unfortunately, what it might have been at some time.
Right.
It's like everybody gets a trophy.
Right.
Like my son's T-ball, everybody gets a trophy. Great.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Congratulations.
That's perfect. That's perfect. But then the other thing is, I've learned that if you can have someone of note do the foreword, if you're a nonfiction author, okay? If you have someone of note do the foreword, Amazon gives it more weight. So it doesn't have to be a famous person or a celebrity. It just has to be someone in the field of whatever you're writing about, who maybe, if they've written a book already and it's on Amazon, that's another thing. Amazon's like, oh, that's cool. So I always try to nudge my people, who do you know, and have they written a book to write your foreword?
Oh, I love that. That's such a great idea. Yeah. And then you take all that stuff, you take the forward, you take the testimonials, and you post that online and you share it out to show your audience and to grow your audience.
Yeah.
Fantastic stuff.
So do you help authors build beta readers?
No, that is not something that I do, because I'm strictly in the online presence. So let's talk about that, though. How does an author, I'm going to turn the tables here on you. How does an author build a beta reader list?
Well, generally, authors know a lot more people than they think they do. Number one. Number two, you can look at book clubs and look for beta readers in book clubs. So you look, Facebook has book clubs, even LinkedIn, I think, has some book clubs. But what I recommend is, because again, I'm doing nonfiction, and even in fiction, I have a fiction author who is in a business of his own. So I'm like, who are the people in your business? Plus, his book is heavily talks about golf. Who do you know at the golf club? So you make the list. I even help them with an email. Here's how you can approach these people and ask them if they'll be a beta reader. And beta reader means that they get to read the book in an unpublished proof. So it's still got mistakes in it. It might have typos. It might have, but the point of the matter is the beta reader reads it and gives a testimonial, and then they go on Amazon and leave a review. But yeah, it's amazing how many people you know that you didn't think you know, and you only need 20 or 30. If you can come up with 50 beta readers, you're golden. I mean, because then Amazon doesn't care about how many books you sell. They think you're like, 50 people reviewed your book. This is a good book. We should start sharing it with people.
I love that. And it's all about that algorithm, right?
Yes.
Everywhere you go online, it's all about the algorithm.
So as far as the author's online presence, we recommend, most authors already have a website. It's astonishing to me that I have two people who didn't have a website, so we're working with them on it. But if they have a website, we tell them, okay, now you have to have an actual page just for the book, right?
Yes, you need to have a page just for the book. Exactly. And then I want to even go a step further about what I help authors with, because oftentimes they think that, well, I want people to get excited about my book and I need a lead magnet. Somebody told me I need a lead magnet. So I'm just going to give away the first chapter of my book, which is a big no, hard no, like big X from Family Feud. No. You want to actually craft something that is the step before your book. Because if you think about it, the lead magnet is the entry point to your customer / client / reader journey with you. So if you wrote a book about, well, let's talk about one of your books. Let's give an example of one of your books.
How about my How to Write a Book? This is my book.
Yes.
The How to Write a Book.
The How to Write a Book. So obviously, you know that it's going to be authors, right? So maybe your lead magnet is 5 ways to determine if you are ready to write a book.
Cool.
And then they go through this checklist. They go, oh yeah, I'm totally ready to write a book. Then you offer a welcome sequence, right? Then you email them, and in the emails, they get the checklist, and then you tell them a bit about yourself. And then in the third email, you go, and now here you are ready for the how to write a book. Now, you know you're ready to write a book. Now here's how to write the book.
That's really genius, because I really thought the giving away the first chapter was a good idea. And now you're convincing me it's not.
I'll tell you why. It's like, if the person doesn't know you, you really think they're going to want to read a chapter of a book you wrote?
Right.
That's an investment in time. They don't have time. Nobody has time. We're so busy. We're multitasking. We're doing all the things. We don't have time. They're scrolling, they're scrolling at Facebook. They're sitting on the toilet. Are they really going to sit there and start reading this? No, because you can't do anything else while you're reading a book. I don't care what people say. You can't. You will not grasp what's in front of you if you are doing other things while reading a book. But so that means that they're not going to invest that time.
So is this something that goes on the author page, or the book page rather?
It would go on the book page. It would also go on the home page.
Yeah.
It would also go on the home page. Grab your free checklist to find out if you are ready to write a book.
I love it.
And so, feel free to take it. So when I work with people, that's what we do. We develop the whole thing.
Right.
So that they really start having that system that's working for them while they're sleeping, and not sending them to the first chapter, which probably won't get downloaded. And is the first chapter even your best chapter? Probably not. The thing about a lead magnet is you really want to give people a quick win. Something they can do really fast. So you give them that checklist. They go, okay, I am not in the mind space to write a book. Okay, I'm going to take it again. Maybe I am now. Or they take it and go, I am totally ready to write a book. Now what's next?
Very, very good. That's genius. Now talk about your checklist, because when I got the checklist, and I've had it here, like,
oh my gosh, there it is. Yay!
Yes, it is. I do everything in black and white because it saves my ink. But this really, I'm like, I wish I'd had this checklist 10 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about this checklist.
So the checklist is really all encompassing, the things that you need to have in place to really market your book online effectively. And there's also a bit about lead magnets, a worksheet about lead magnets, creating one that is going to really speak to your individual book and your brand as a whole. And so the reason I created this checklist is that I find that people write a book and then they just don't know where to go next. And sometimes publishers provide a list, but it's confusing. And it's like, well, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. So it's really broken down as simply as possible. And, once you download that checklist, then you start getting more stuff from me because you're in my email sequence, and I'm constantly giving more value because I really believe in providing value to the people that have taken the time to get to know me.
Right. The more you give away, the more you get back. People don't believe that, but it's absolutely true. So this checklist, I think it's something I need to share with all my authors, certainly. So how can people get it?
Sure. It's just at vipdigital.live/checklist.
Yep. And I will have that in the YouTube. So vipdigital.live/checklist. Okay. And I have permission to share this with a lot of people.
Oh, yes, please. The more, the merrier. The more people that realize that their book has so much value and that they actually need to share it out, the better.
Right, because I was looking at it, and I'll be honest. My how to write a book, and I'm thinking, marketing checklist, and all the places that several of the places on here, I was like, I never would have thought to put it there. I never would have thought to put it there. And you get so singularly minded when you're doing these things. So myself or another author or whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll put it in my email signature and I'll share it on LinkedIn. And I mean, so what happens is there's no strategy behind it. So you're offering people a strategy when they come to you.
That's absolutely right. It's a holistic strategy on how to take your amazing book, make sure your messaging is great, disseminate it on social media, create that lead magnet to grow your email list, get yourself on podcasts, create a launch campaign. So that
Yeah.
when your book launches, people are thrilled and they can't wait to buy it.
So that's really big also, the launch campaign. The other thing you said is podcasts. We don't really have time to get into it, but podcasts are one of the things that I also tell my authors. So you actually have on your site a podcast of your own. Tell us about that quickly.
Yes, well, I actually stopped recording that podcast. It is chock full of lots of great content marketing information, but it wasn't really serving me the way that I was hoping. So it's there. People can listen. I've got 60 something interviews and it's all full of great stuff. But what's really making me happy now is my live show that I do every Friday, where I interview authors, and I put it out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I get to talk to authors and hear what they're doing to market their books, and really, show people that they're all going through the same thing. Because I feel like, especially in this online world, we kind of feel like we're alone.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is to show people that others are going through the same thing, and we can learn from each other too.
And that's a great way for people to find beta readers.
Absolutely. Back to beta readers. I love this. Yes.
Yeah. So how do people get on that show?
Well, they just reach out to me and I can give you the link if that is something that you'd like to do. I talk to nonfiction authors about their books. It's I basically say to them, it's shameless promotion just for you.
I love it because it's so important, that whole thing about shameless self-promotion.
Yeah.
Well, Melanie, this has been really, really awesome. And we could probably go on and talk some more because you have such insight. And I mean, you come from a background where the story you told is so important for people to hear. Writers especially, I find so many writers or meet so many people who like, well, no, I can't do that because somebody told me that I was never going to be a good writer or whatever. And I'm like, who told you that? You show me and I'm going to slap them upside the head. But because it's not right.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's the stories we tell ourselves, right?
Yeah. Well, Melanie, thank you so much. I'm going to make sure I share all of the information and make sure people have a way to get in touch with you. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, or share with you, or you want me to share rather on my social channels, that's what I'm here for, is to share other people's work, plus all of your authors, anything that's out there that needs a little bit. I'm here for it.
Thank you so much, Yvonne.
And this is Yvonne signing off. We'll see you next time on Smart Conversations.